Well, the beavers threw a wrench into my works here. This is a new beaver dam, or it wasn't documented on the trip notes. And it's not one of those slide overs. It's rocky and bouldery and too shallow for my canoe. And in theory, the portage starts down another 100 meters or so. So I got more work. I grabbed a couple of logs out of the bush and rigged a skid here. And I'll show you the other skid system I rigged. That log's from the bush. That log was already there, and allows a solo traveler to get out, keep one's feet dry, because I got a 470 meter portage coming up, and I can slide and haul out, and I got a shallow place to stand and unload and not hurt my back. Okay, first unexpected portage of the day. The end of Little Savant Lake and the very Little Savant River. Very small, really nice, clear, clean water. And this is a 430 meter portage. I think I said earlier 470, but whatever, 450, rounded off. Okay, time to get going. A little tip for beginner paddlers out there. I have a rule, I never break it, and that is at landings, for portages, and in campsites, always lean your paddles up. Always, 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 always lean your paddles up off the trail. Never put them down on the ground. If you put them down on the ground, inevitably somebody will step on them sooner or later, and that can snap a paddle. So it's just something that I do. I don't even think that the paddles just are always leaned up out of the way of big fat clumsy feet. Okay, paddle safety lecture over. On these longer portages, I'm walking them first with my saw and an axe, and taking my day pack and a few other things just very light on my back, because inevitably there'll be some fresh blowdown that I got to deal with. Finished the 450, and I got several more to do today, little ones. This is one of the rare landings where there's actually a little campsite. Actually quite a nice spot, and the blueberries are everywhere. Okay, more drudgery with more portages. In fact, there's one right around the corner, about 50 meters away. I got to do all this again. Another lift over. Got my skid launch logs rigged. It's going to be interesting because it's on a slant and there's a big rock in the water there. How about these erratics, eh? Well, I made it to Compass Lake. It started raining in the afternoon and I wasn't able to film. You missed some really ugly swamp, literally stinking with hydrogen sulfide coming up, and horrible landings and bushwhacking and sweating and cussing, and oh, it was horrible. Horrible, horrible. I had 2 extra portages that weren't on the map because of Well, just because. But the sun is coming out now. I've got stuff out to dry. This is a big shallow lake, and the vegetation that's coming up there is wild rice. That's all wild rice out there. And it's in flower right now. That's all wild rice. I don't know if I can zoom in to show you a flower. Unfortunately, with my bifocal prescription being out of date, I can't actually see my screen clearly to know if I've got the flowers zoomed in there. A lot of these have been munched by geese. There's goose droppings on my campsite here. So they'll nip off the tops of these and they won't be able to flower. There's goose droppings. This is one of the chains of wild rice lakes that is traditionally harvested, or at least was traditionally harvested. I'm not sure if they come in this far anymore, but traditionally harvested by the folks of Mishki-Gogaming, which is northwest of here, south of Pickle Lake. In fact, there's some old cans and garbage on this site. Not many, but I noticed these. There are 2 gas cans cached in here. I'm not going to touch them or move them in case they're rusted out and the stuff leaks out. But they've been here for a while. They're starting to grow into the moss. That's probably from wild rice harvest or maybe waterfowl hunting. Well, I looked around and I did find some old rice harvesting equipment. There's some plywood boards here, and I'm not going to step in there in case there's any nails sticking up, but there's sheets of screen, and the screen is used to catch the wild rice grains when they fall off the plant. They have these harvesting rigs that kind of hit the plant and I don't know, like a thresher, I guess, sort of. And they use motorboats to push them through, and it hits the plant, and then the seeds sort of whip inside, and the grains come in. Sorry, I can't speak very well right now. So yeah, this is the ruins of a big pile of rice harvest equipment from the old days. Look at the wild rice over here, it's really thick. Unfortunately, the water is only 3 feet deep and it's mucky and gooey. This is not where I like to camp for water supply. I'm trying to conserve stove fuel. I cut it a little lean and I'm running out, so everything's soaked from the rain. I'm gonna see if I can get some dry wood so I can boil the water. Yeah, all that water there is sitting on top of gucky ooze, which is what wild rice likes to grow in. Went back in the bush. It's been cleaned out because this has been a traditional site, but I went further back and found a nice standing dead dry spruce. This is the two halves of it. I love the way spruce grows. It just grows tall and thin. Real nice shape for firewood collecting because you don't have to knock yourself out with huge logs. Looks pretty dry. The base I cut off, it's a bit rotten. But that'll dry out in the sun. But hopefully I can get a split wood fire going with these two halves and cook my dinner. If I got time, I'm running out of daylight. I carry a Grant's Forest Brooks Scandinavian forest axe. It's my favorite. Absolute favorite. I love the thin bit or edge on the front. It makes really good fine splits. And there's some quarter splits and some half splits. And I'm hoping that I can cook my dinner tonight with this with a little left over to spare. I'm going to start this. I haven't got time to make shavings and all that. I got some under branches from some spruce, black. By the way, this is all black spruce I'm talking about here. And a little wet with the lichen, but I got some birch bark in my kit. I always carry bags of birch bark that I pick up on the trail. Let's get dinner going. Let's boil up some of this swamp water here and have a hot drink. Man, oh man. Black spruce, the most common tree in the Canadian boreal forest. East to central boreal forest where I live and travel. And it'll never let you down. You can always just walk back and find dead stems, dead standing, summer and winter. If you're dry inside, split them. They're easy to split. That fire's a little smoky. There was tons of wet coals from previous users under there. So there's a lot of moisture in the bed of that fire, unfortunately. So that's a lot of that steam coming out from the bottom of the fire. So the fire isn't huge, but it's not meant to be huge. And I have a Tilly hat, and it makes an excellent fanner of the flames. Hard to do with one hand here, but with two hands I can stiffen the brim and really get it going. That'll be boiling soon. Dinner tonight, cooked over the fire, is dehydrated ground beef, onions, dried olives, and scallop potato mix. Look at those potatoes. This is a hearty meal, seasoned with garlic, Tex-Mex, and pepper. Here we